Hi there, Robin here from Expert Island, and today we're going to be talking about the Electro-Voice ZLX-15P. Now, on today's episode, when we're going to be talking about the speaker, we're going to review everything on the back side, everything on the front side, and all the applications. So we'll take some time, we'll actually give it a sound test so you can hear what the dynamics are of the actual speaker. We'll also take a look-see after that of the overall features. Who's best for this speaker? What was Electro-Voice EV thinking about when they made the speaker, and why is it the world's #1 selling class of speakers? And we're talking about the ZLX-12P and ZLX-15P, but for today we're going to focus mostly on this one right here, which is the 15P. If you're a DJ or if you're in a band and you're looking for a new speaker, this is definitely a video that you're going to want to watch, because we're going to cover it all and you're probably going to fall in love with the speaker by the time we're done. So from here, we'll take it off to a sound test and see how that works out. Alright, so here we are. We've got the actual speaker set up 24 feet away from the camera. We've got the gain levels on the same levels that we've had for through the whole video. We're going to give this a sound test, see how it sounds. I'm going to come over here, let you know that we do have it hooked up with the auxiliary cable, and this is where my voice is next to the speaker at regular talking level. So, we'll hit the play button and see how that goes. So, I know it's always hard, but I figure this way you get a live feel to it, what it sounds like in the space. I know we're using a microphone, we're recording it. It's as good as it's going to get, but I gotta say, it's pretty awesome. It fills up our entire showroom. One speaker all by itself does a great job. So, we'll leave it at that. We're going to take it off to the table now, and we'll look at all the actual features on the backside. We'll see you there. Alright, so here we are. We've got the Electro-Voice ZLX-15P on the actual table now, and we can proportionally see how much, girth this thing has. Now, it's 38 pounds, so less than 40, easy to carry around. It's made out of a polymer material, so this way it carries a lot less weight with it from baggage. Instead of being wood, it's dense enough that it holds itself together so you don't get a hollow resonation out of the box, which is really, really important. And there's grip handles on only one side, which is kind of odd, but one side here, but the top and bottom, so if you're pole mounting, it's very easy to operate. Now, this is really exciting if you're a DJ or if you're doing, you have for a live band setup, that's great, or if you're just a solo artist. Another great reason to have a speaker like this. Now, also with the 15-inch and the amount of power this has, which is 1,000 watts, is all they listed at, it'll carry a great size room. I mean, if you're doing it for DJ purposes and you're looking at dance floors, 15-inch, 1,000 watts, you're probably going to have a dance floor 24 by 24, 30 by 30, so wedding size dance floors for up to like 150 people, I guess, right? So that's a pretty good idea where you're going to be with this. Great bass, again, because of the fact that it holds itself together and it's got enough power to generate that bass. It's going to do a really good job. If, depending on the type of music, you really want to have a subwoofer with it, I'll show you on the back side. Really super easy. The whole thing's got a DSP built into it, so you can really maximize not just the speaker but the subwoofer at the same time. If you're a live band, it's Electro-Voice, so everything they design into a lot of their other products, they can focus and engineer it into here, so it's not limited by this is what we do, this is how our design is. They've got a lot of resources to know what sounds good, what works really well, and how to put that into a package, and then basically bringing a product like this. So, what do we have? Again, handle on this side, we've got a tapered edge, so if you want to use it as a monitor or wedge, we can do that as well. They don't take anything for advantage. They give you all these option settings in the back that really help tweak it a little bit, so if you're using it in one specific way or you want to maximize the sound, it'll do that too. Also, depending on how you set it up, if you have a few of these, you can use the DSP to maximize and balance the sound between speakers, because if you're a DJ, you're only going to have one controller. If you're using it in a band, you're going to have one mixer. But you might have speakers set up in a different part of the room or the hall, or whichever way you have it set up, and I'll show you how that works. So we'll turn it on. Now, you can go to Electro-Voice's website and see a really close-up picture of this. So we're going to skip the close-up, but we're going to talk about some of the ideas behind it, because to be honest, they go through it like, oh, look, it does this, oh, look, it does that, and they don't really explain what's going on there. So with the actual DSP and the actual menu setting on the display board, let's just kind of control what we're setting up. Now, one of the biggest things when you see, you go, oh wow, it's cool, it's got all these little features in it for sound settings. So we'll cover those first, and we'll see exactly what's going on there, because that's really what it's all about. I mean, we do have traditional jack pack option right here, which are 2 line inputs, so we can have all the way up to 12 o'clock for our line control, and we get that on both options. We get combo jack, so you can use it with a 1/4 inch or an XLR, so regardless if you're just using it for a PA system with a microphone and all you have is the cable that came with the microphone and it's not an XLR, that's okay. It'll take that and allow you to drive the microphone from there, no problem. You also get the same jack will carry an XLR cable in its place. So again, that means it doesn't matter what kind of cable you have, you'll be able to plug it in. So both of them work, same jack, no problem. Also has a line out, which is most likely going to be used for your subwoofer, or if you got a daisy chain 2 speakers in a row. And amazingly enough, just to make life easy, when they built the speaker, they thought we want to have something easy enough for somebody to use on their phone or their tablet, and they wanted to make sure it was going to sound good, so they actually gave it a 3.5 jack right there. That's how we actually used it here when I did the sound test demo on it. I just used 3.5. It was that easy. That's straightforward. Now, the important part, where all the business is on the back of this, is what you can do with the actual levels. Now, it's a digital processor, so it allows us to do some basic things like increase the gain. So if our audio input is very low and bringing this up isn't really going to help us out any, we can adjust that by plus, minus, just by using these dials and choosing the line inputs. Really helpful. Now, from there, when we press in on the button, that's how we activate the actual menu. The first one's mode. We've got music, live, and speech, along with club. Now, those are just for different styles of music play on it. So if I'm just using it for speech, for talk, then I go to speech, and it's going to emphasize that particular part of our vocals to maximize room space. It takes out a bit of the bass out of it, so it doesn't sound so deep and hollow. Then you've got the music mode, which again, if you're going to be using it as a live band, get it in music mode. It's going to emphasize just the right sound to it. So again, live and speech. So it's all about contouring the EQ on the system. Club, so if you're using it as a DJ, get into the club mode, and it'll bring up that bottom end a little bit on it. Now, same thing happens in a different way, but it really brings it home to like explain it in, well, I like to say English, right? So it's something we can understand. So pole mount. So the next one is location, pole, monitor, or bracket. Now the thing is if you ever play around with these type of speakers, when you put them on the floor, they sound a lot bassier. And that's because of sound deflection of how it is on the floor. If it's really close to a wall, so a pole mount, like a wall mount bracket, or just by taking the speaker and tucking it into a corner, it's going to emphasize that bottom end. So it really helps contour the sound. Now, why is this important? You can just EQ that out, right? Well, let's say you're setting up in a hall, and the hall's kind of weird, and you're set up in a corner. One speaker's in the middle of the space next to the entranceway, which is wide open. You set that one up as a pole mount. But then the other speaker's on the tripod, but it's right up against the wall. Well, you can set that one up as a bracket mount. So this way it's going to contour. Now, if you have to put the speaker on the floor because it's sitting on the stage, because the stage is high and everybody's sitting down, well, you can set it up as a monitor. Now, that's always, if you have one speaker one way and another speaker the other way, it has more to do with where you're setting it up, less to be, oh, I've got 2 speakers, they got to be exactly the same. Not necessarily. This way it allows you to get the most out of it and keep everybody hearing the same sound in the room. That's what that's all about. And then again, you've got bass and treble control that follows that. And you also have the subwoofer. Now, Electro-Voice's video must be a couple of years old because the software, I guess, has been updated on it, and they've added a way bigger selection of preset subwoofers in it. So basically, it's them taking advantage of the fact they know their own dynamics of their product, so they know what works best for their subwoofers. So they're going to contour that specifically to maximize. So if you have any of the Electro-Voice subwoofers that are now listed, then it's a big plus. Outside of that, you're just going to choose a crossover point that you like to use that sounds best for you. So just to give an idea, we'll go to subs. So we've got the traditional, off, 80 hertz, all these cutoff points. And then when we get to the models, so now we've got, I got to be able to read this, EKX-15P, EKX-18SP, ELX-118P. So they've added a few more to that list. So that's good. That's good because they did introduce more models since that original video. Either that or he somehow missed that. Anyways, but that's everything on the speaker. Again, solid state. They do get warm. I noticed that. But this speaker has been on display for an awful long time. We run it hard a lot for customers to listen to. We try and keep it within the limits of what the product can do. And we've had no issues at all with it. So that's a big, big plus. Now, some of the cool things that they do talk about with Electro-Voice was how the limiters work on it and how the clipping. So if you haven't touched, this is just some cool stuff. If you haven't touched the actual volume knob and it's clipping, it'll show you up in big writing, which is kind of cool. Just to let you know, back off a little bit, either here or on your controller and mixer, just so you don't cause any damage or cause it to go into protect mode sort of thing. So that's a big plus. When you're up close to it, it does show you. So instead of just a little blinking light, it gives you a little bit more details off here, and it tells you what channel. Because if you're using two channels and you're actively setting this up, one channel might be clipping, the other channel might not. So it'll let you know, well, I need to back off a little bit on channel 2. So there you go. And I really like the covers are secured on really, really well. The pole mount is a little thumb screw, which is really good because the biggest thing we talk about to folks is when you put it on a mount, you're not trying to hang the speaker upside down. You just need to keep it snug because you don't want to damage it, break it, or crack it. You can just simply by ratcheting it onto her. So they give you a nice little metal thumb screw that makes it easy enough to go on and doesn't get in the way. Outside of that, certainly it's Electro-Voice. I'll be honest, at the price point this is at, nobody ever complains about it. Everybody just rave reviews about the thing like crazy. So there you go. So after this, we'll take a moment. We'll talk about who's probably going to like to use it. But I think that pretty much covers the product. Again, it's Electro-Voice. It comes with a great warranty. It comes in a beautiful box. It sounds great after you unpack it. And it sounds great after you've had it for a long time. So there you go. We'll talk in a bit. There you go. A little introduction, a little sound testing, a little overview. Now it's the question, is this the right speaker for you? Well, if you're a DJ and you're doing, shows that are, 200 people or less, you're doing weddings, that sort of thing, and you're looking for something that's going to fill that space, incredible. I mean, this is really probably the right speaker for you. There's a couple of other options like Coke and Pepsi. Everybody's going to have their preference. But I think really, you can't go wrong with this type of product. It was built as part of a whole family of products that they have. Electro-Voice is a really big company, and they're really refined in the way they look at things, and they're still actively, constantly working on it to make sure it's as good as it possibly can be. So I think definitely there. Nice part is it's easy to pair off with subwoofers. The size of the subwoofers are going to be based on the size of your venues because they do have their 18-inch subs, which are really always solid, and if you're going to get a subwoofer, you do want to spend around that kind of price point for it. Because you don't want it to sound empty and hollow compared to the tops, especially if this is what you end up with. If you're a band, if you're playing bars, pubs, restaurants, small hall gigs, stuff like that, and you're looking for some mains that you can travel around with and you can carry a big room, this is really an awesome way to go. They set up really well. They're very portable. I mean, again, get back to the weight at less than 40 pounds. You can certainly carry it around. I always recommend all these speakers, you pay the extra and have the padded covers for them, so this way they actually look nice when you pull them out, or get yourself some jackets, some covers like scrims that go on top of it, just if you want to make sure it looks as nice as possible. Again, 4-piece band, solo artist, depends on the size of the room that you're playing, but definitely, again, if you're trying to carry a space that's let's say 24 feet wide and you're trying to fill down a void that's up to, let's say, 50 feet, That's where a 15-inch comes into play, because you're really trying to keep that sweet spot. The first, the first little bit, the 10% at the beginning, right up close to the speaker, is going to sound loud, but at 15-inch carries really well across the space. And then you get to the back of the room, and there's going to be a little lower back there. But you want to try and maintain 80% of that sound throughout 80% of the room. And definitely, this is a speaker that has enough power that you're not going to distort it in the front, and you're going to be able to carry it across that room. So again, that's why the 15-inch, and that's why this would probably be a good fit. If, like I said, if you're playing bars, pubs, clubs, that sort of thing, and you're still playing a room that's going to have just a few hundred people in it, that's probably a really good way to go. So outside of that, churches never go wrong with a speaker like this. The 12-inch might be a little bit better, and then it's really the size of the actual church space. Same thing applies if you're a hall and you're looking for speakers. Follow the same rules. I mean, how big's your hall and how many people are going to be in it? That sort of thing really defines an overall use of the product. If I'm using it in an lecture hall, definitely 2 speakers. If the lecture hall has over 1,000 people in it, then you definitely want to get in the 4 speakers so you can kind of even out the sound. That's something if you need to bring in for yourself. There you go. Works well with a controller, works incredibly well with a mixer. Overall, well-rounded product. So I think we can pretty much wrap it up and say the ZLX can do no wrong if you're the right type of person for it. So that's a big thing. I do like the DSP. It's more for the person who's maybe on their second set of speakers who wants all those added features. I think it's a really great add-on. It gives you one step ahead of what you see with a traditional monitor. All right. Well, there you go. We'll leave it at that for now. We'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Now's the perfect opportunity. If you haven't subscribed, click on that round little circle in the middle. That's why the palm tree's there, to subscribe. And have a look at some of our other videos. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I always try and find the time to reply if I can. And if I don't have the answer, I'll let you know. I won't leave you hanging for too long, I guess. So, again, thank you very much. See you soon.